Start letting people in.
Hello.
Afternoon.
Hello.
everyone.
Hello. Evening.
Hello.
Evening.
Can you hear
Hi.
me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, so I think can everyone hear? Because someone on the group just muted us.
Yeah, sorry, that was me. I didn't mean to mute you as well, Neil. Sorry. Just trying to gain some control.
Yeah. Okay. So if everyone could just put themselves on mute whilst each individual person is talking, it would be appreciated. So just to make everyone aware, we are recording this session and we do intend to share it on the social media platforms and on YouTube. So if there's anyone that doesn't agree to that or has had second thoughts to that, we really won't be offended if you want to drop off. I'll take silence as golden. So it's entirely up to you, but it would make it easier for engagement purposes if cameras were on. Completely your own choice, but it does make it somewhat easier. So making a start, hello everyone, welcome to the first Safety 7 meeting. The aim of this, what we all want to achieve, is to give modern health and safety a voice and to move it away from the sort of old boys club and embrace a more diverse culture within the profession. And how this started, it was an idea that I had a little while ago, and I wanted to do something. I wasn't exactly sure what it is that I wanted to do and what it looked like, but I knew it had to be different, and it couldn't be the same format as the other panels and roundtables that take place, which are all great. They're all good, you know, they're all beneficial, but I wanted to do something different. So spent a lot of time looking introspectively at the why we do what we do. And I think it fundamentally comes down to the need to help people, the want to help people. And that's what we do in health and safety. We help others. But health and safety can be a bit of a closed profession, can't it? You can't get a job because you haven't got the experience, and you can't get the experience because you haven't got a job. It's a vicious circle, isn't it? And let's be honest, there are some people that aren't that supportive out there. Some people don't want to help others and don't want to guide people that are starting out or that are looking to get a break. And that's when the idea came. And it was about a panel of people who speak about their experiences and topics and certain themes. But where the difference was, it was involving the people that we're looking to support, you know, directly involving. So that was the sort of the crux of the idea. So one thing is that there's 7 of us, and one thing just to make everyone aware of is how we chose the founding members of the Safety 7. And what I did was to think about who I'd want to be on this journey with. I wanted like-minded people, people who were real, who were honest, who have a story to tell, who share themselves, their whole selves, and not just the glitzy stuff. And we can also share a NEBOSH certificate and, you know, our next level in NIOSH, but I think it's important that we also share the not glitzy stuff, you know, the trials and tribulations that we face. But it was important that it was people who are supportive of others and that offer encouragement, and people who share the same values of helping and giving back to the profession. That is how the Safety 7 were formed. Very quickly I found my other 6, reached out to them, and each one supported the concept. Nobody said I have to think about it, I don't know. 100% acceptance rate, which I was chuffed to bits with. I thought that was great. I was not perhaps expecting a few people to say yes, to say no, but everyone's got other commitments. They've got, you know, lots of things going on, day jobs, families, other groups, but 100% acceptance rate, which was fantastic. So we formed a group chat on LinkedIn, and the ideas have flowed constantly since, like non-stop. We've had quite a bit of banter about various bits and pieces, lots of ideas for and themes for future meetings. We've got branding. We've got a very clever whiz who can do the branding, the logos, which have been fantastic. Every time we've done a post with the logo, it's got quite a lot of engagement, and I think it's pretty cool, to be fair. We've got social media channels now, but more importantly, we are probably more excited about this than what you guys are that are coming on. Everyone's been really supportive about it, but we've been like little school kids in the background, really excited for this. And I do truly believe that what we're doing here with the Safety 7 has sparked something. And the engagement, like I said, on every single post that we've done has been amazing. The offers of support have been overwhelming as well, so it does tell us that we're doing the right thing. And I even had to have a difficult text conversation with my director, who wanted to be involved as part of the Safety 7 panel, and I had to say, well, actually, we've got 7, so thank you, but no. So it just goes to show that this is wanted. This is something that people are really truly interested in. So that's great for us. Now, what we'll ask of you tonight is just a couple of things. If you could all put yourselves on mute whilst others are speaking, which everyone's done, so thank you for that. Ask questions. You can pop them in the chat as we go, and we'll mediate the questions once we've all spoken and shared our stories, or you can wait till we've all finished, and then we can just have a bit of an open floor and just have a bit of a chat about various things. But the most important thing to remember, it's imperative that what we're doing here is we're creating a safe space. We're here to share and support one another, and we're not here to make negative comments or pass judgment, and there's no such thing as a stupid question for what we're going to talk about tonight. Is that okay with everybody? Everyone good with that? Okay, that's enough of my rambling to start us off. We did have Liz, who was going to be up, but Liz is double booked at another event. So unfortunately we can't start with Liz, so we are going to start with Katie. I will hand over to Katie.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Safety 7. As Neil said, you know, we're all equally as excited to be here, as I'm sure you are. I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory into my journey so far in health and safety. So I'm Katie Jenner, I'm 38, and I'm a Senior Safety, Health and Environmental Manager for Wilmot Dixon Construction. I fell into health and safety, actually. So I was working in an office for an electrical and mechanical engineering team, and the heel of my shoe got caught on the tread of the stair in the office block, which resulted in me tumbling down the entire flight. I was okay. I was extremely embarrassed. I had blood running down my shin, but I was okay. And from that moment, it got me thinking. It got me thinking that if a workplace accident could so easily happen to me, you know, what's to say it's not going to happen to the next person? And it was from that moment I wanted to make a difference. I didn't want people to have workplace accidents. So I applied for the health and safety coordinator role within the same organisation, and I transferred across. That was 11 years ago. I still to this day remember my first health and safety event outside of the workplace. I was extremely nervous, you know, really new to the industry. And I turned up on my own, walked into this room, and I was faced with the stereotypical health and safety professional. You know, middle-aged white man, grey suit, speaking legal jargon in little huddles. And it was kind of like a tumbleweed moment that I walked in, and I was at the time young, female. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, this world is not for me. You know, health and safety isn't for me. I mean, what do I know? You know, I'm young, I don't look like anybody else. I certainly don't talk like anybody else. You know, I'm way out of my depth. And I was just about to turn and bolt for the door when I stopped and I just thought, hang on a minute, what is my why? What is my purpose for being in the health and safety industry? And it was that moment that kept me there. It was, do you know what, to make a difference, it doesn't matter that I look different. It doesn't matter that I don't talk their language, because all I'm here to do is make health and safety relatable and actually to make a difference to prevent people from having accidents at work. At that moment, that was the start of my health and safety career. And my aspirations for the Safety 7 is just support for all of you, support for new health and safety professionals in the industry, but also existing ones. I mean, I suffer profusely with imposter syndrome. So if by having this Safety 7 gives that little bit of support and encouragement to other people, then, you know, Neil's venture is to me a huge success. I don't want other people to kind of feel like I did 11 years ago walking into that health and safety room. We also said that we was going to make a little bit of fun from tonight, and we're each going to share our favourite superhero, or at least I hope we are, and I've not just been set up like turning up to fancy dress and you're the only one. So anyway, I'm going to go with this. My favourite superhero actually creates a little bit of nostalgia for me. It takes me back to my childhood, which was a few years ago now. But I find these superheroes quite fitting. My favourite superhero is Banana Man. He gets energy from one of his 5 a day. I mean, you know, we've got the health bit cracked there, haven't we? But he was also an ordinary person who wanted to save the world. And actually, you know, I'm right there with Banana Man, and that's kind of what I'm doing. That's my pledge to the Safety 7. So yeah, just excited to be here and to hear everybody else's journey. So thank you. Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Katie. Thank you for sharing that. I think we'll move on to Stuart now.
Hi, everybody. Stuart Bailey, 57 this year. New age pensioner. Started to wind down, had an exit plan when I was 26 years old when my dad died. And I said, I'm not going to get to 64 like my dad did and never get to have his pension. So 26, I started a pension plan and looked at it every year and poked it and prodded it until it got to a point where I reached 55 and I said, what's a pension for? Is it to retire completely, or is it just to make your life easier on a day-by-day basis? So what I did, I took a 55, you're allowed to take your pension pot because of George Osborne, 2015, who allowed you to do that. And I took it and I reduced my hours down to 3 days, and now my week is 4 days and 3 days working, and it's terrific. I can't tell you how good that is, but it allows me to give a lot back to people on safety. I got into safety. I was a company secretary at a building services company. Did nearly every job there right from the start because it was a new startup. Second year, I did the presentation to win them the best new startup business. Became company secretary, and with that came a role of responsibilities, doing the fire checks, being the responsible person under the fire safety order, meeting with the external consultant and trying to improve the safety within the business in a construction new build environment. And I had 2 or 3 external consultants over the years, but one of them really got me interested, and that's a guy called Andrew Marsh, who's been an absolute constant friend all the way through my journey. 2009, I went and got the IOSH Managing Safely and loved it so much. I'm a lifelong learner. Every book that I pick up, I'm very similar to Neil. I'm a fast reader. I just can't wait to get the next book. And in some cases, they're already on the way from Amazon before I finish the other one. I just can't get enough of it. It led me on to my NEBOSH General, NEBOSH Fire, NEBOSH Construction, and then I decided to throw myself straight into the diploma because I'd done so well with the other 3. Loved them, did all the work, really enjoyed the learning from them and applied it as soon as I could in my working life. And then I became health and safety administrator as well as company secretary. And then I decided I was going to go full hog. And in 2014, I became a health and safety manager for my current employer, a plumbing company in new build sector. It's not the most dangerous of things to do, plumbing. It has its moments, working at height and dealing with gas and access and egress like we all do. But I absolutely loved getting out there and talking to people. It makes my job so much better to get that movement of people. And I went down a route of studying influence and persuasion and getting that toe-to-toe with people and knowing that you've left I always say this, I've left a little piece of me with them. And you don't always work the first time, but as long as you leave a little piece that's buzzing around in their heads, you can try the second time and make a little bit more. I volunteered with IOSH from 2013, immediately become a committee member, got co-opted on straight away. Then I became secretary in 2014, and I was secretary of IOSH Manchester for 5 years, and absolutely loved the role, making sure presentations were there, adapting to the pandemic and moving everything from face to face into a virtual world. And I'm very lucky to have had the chair, Chris Nagg, that helped me to put 20 presentations together in 2020, which was an absolute ride. We had some fantastic people. I was speaking to people way above my pay grade, but to bring them down and enjoy the what they had to give was fantastic. I've been to 3 IOSH conferences, fantastic events, mixing with the people, getting in the room with people that are fellows and professors and doctors, and that's the room to learn in. It was great because I'm discussing safety with the people who wrote the books, and they are my superheroes. Those people who write these books that change the face of safety on a day-by-day basis. The Karen Hewitts, the Sidney Deckers, the Andrew Sharmans, and literally so many more. Just those off the top of my head. What I want to be is authentic. I don't change my accent. I don't try and put any airs and graces on. I was brought up in a house that had nothing, no heating in the bedrooms. Your entertainment was seeing how much cloud in the air because it was so cold. Getting dressed under your covers, because that's the only way you could manage. -6. I want to be relatable. I hope I am. I want to communicate better. It's an ongoing thing to try and communicate better. And every feedback you get leads you onto a new communication method or realizing that you didn't get it right slightly. And you change and you get better. I want to be persuasive. I want to influence. I'm passionate. And my superpower is enthusiasm because it never stops. It's an endless enthusiasm. I've never had a bad day. I've never had a day where I thought, and to coin a phrase, this is crap. No, I've never thought that. I've always looked at the opportunity in every disaster rather than the disaster in every opportunity. A complete and utter optimist. Empathy is what I want to see. My superhero, let's get onto that so I can finish off. When I was young and at school and they wanted you to read all these things in English literature, I kept going back to Asterix the Gaul. I don't know why. It was the only book I got out of the library. And the teacher said, "You're reading the wrong stuff." I said, "But it's Asterix the Gaul." Is he a superhero? He is to me. He was where I started. It's where my passion for learning and reading came from. So Asterix the Gaul had his powers. He was as big as anybody else. He was a larger than life character, even though he's drawn so small on the paper. But yeah, that's it. The other heroes in my life, my daughter, been on the front line of the NHS, had COVID 3 times, had a heart broken, and ended up being isolating because she got COVID on the 15th of December and had to go all the way to Christmas Day before she could get out. So she spent 10 days of broken heart at Christmas. Now, if that's not got a superpower, some way, shape or form in that girl, then I'll be very surprised. And that's where I am. That's all about me. Over to the next person.
Thanks, Stu. So I think next on the run list is Robert.
Thanks, Neil. Yeah, so my name is Robert Dukes. I, like Katie, got into health and safety after an accident. I was working in BAE Systems, where they build the nuclear submarines, and I was actually walking past a hatch with a colleague, and the hatch sprang open, hit me in the back, caused slip discs in the back, and shoulder injury as well. And yeah, just through getting involved after that with the safety team and the approach they took, getting involved in the investigation, I just really enjoyed it. And that relationship kind of blossomed a little bit. I kind of went back asking them more questions about what happened and how I could get into safety. And the safety team, rather than being a bit, I thought they might have rejected us a little bit and been like, oh, not tell us as much as what had happened maybe, or they might not have been as encouraging as they were, but actually they were really welcoming, and they kind of brought me in, showed me a few of the things that they were doing, talked about a few of the other projects that they had going on, and they just spent a lot of time over the next probably 6 to 12 months in helping me, identify what courses would be good to do, helping me get into health and safety. And that's where I looked at doing an NEBOSH General Cert. I self-funded that and passed that. Then stupidly decided to go straight into the NEBOSH diploma, as you do. And then as I was kind of developing some experience within safety, I was quite fortunate to get a workplace placement. I was offered an opportunity in health and safety to my first kind of health and safety advisor role. So I took it basically, and they offered me a master's. So I thought, yeah, great, I'll do the master's whilst I'm doing the NEBOSH diploma. Probably don't recommend that, to be honest. It's quite a lot of work whilst you're working full time as well. But it was really good because it all kind of tied in together really to help me develop quicker. It probably gave me a hell of a lot of information in quite a short space of time, but that kind of brought the best out of me. And I found that I like being busy as well. So I just jump into all different wonderful kind of projects that kind of are out there. So you'll probably see me involved in loads of other stuff from IOSH to WRSM to the Safety 7 that we're here today with. So yeah, moral of the story, if you want someone to do something, probably just reach out to me and ask me and I'll say yeah. What I want to kind of get out of this, well, I want to be authentic. Like Stuart said, it's about being authentic. It's about helping other people. It's helping people get into this profession. Because, when I first went to my first conference, I felt imposter syndrome. I felt overwhelmed. And, it's actually realising there's a lot of great people in the safety industry that actually there's no need to be kind of fearful and to, you're always going to be a bit apprehensive when you first go into something, but it's actually to feel accepted and included. And that's what I want to like other people to feel, really. In terms of experience, I've been probably in health and safety for about 5-6 years now. Done the NEBOSH diploma and masters, and since then I've moved companies as well. So I was at Wax Liverpool for about 2.5 years. Really enjoyed that, and I felt there was kind of a need to progress and develop, and an opportunity came along at my current employer, Northwood Tissue, and it was actually a recruiter that I'd actually spoken at Shirley Parsons' company conference a few years before I was looking for an opportunity, and the recruiter reached out to us, remembering me from that kind of speaking at that company conference, and said, I think I've got a perfect opportunity for you. And I listened to him, basically. We connected over that, and I connected with my new employer, and we just hit it off, and it's been an absolute whirlwind since then, really. It's been probably one of the best moves in my career. It's just took everything to a whole new level. My kind of favourite superhero, I'll probably say is a Hulk. I just like the fact that he smashes stuff up. Not entirely anything as what the other two have said, but yeah, I don't know. I thought we were going on superheroes and the movies that we like to watch on superheroes, so a little bit off tangent there. I think that's it really for me.
Great stuff. Thanks, Robert. So next on the list, Marissa, you're up.
Yeah, hi, I'm Marisa Firkins. I'm Birmingham born and bred, now living in Shropshire. My career journey started around 13 years ago. I worked as an investigator for the National Crime Agency. Really enjoyed that role, very fulfilling, very long hours, working away from home quite a lot. It was a kind of life event that made me have a change of career. So my husband fell really, really ill and spent 2.5 years in hospital on and off. So unfortunately, I had to find a new career. I'd always had an interest in health and safety, and I used to represent the PCS trade union in the National Crime Agency as a safety representative. I really liked the fact that, health and safety was something that it was a good tool to show people that you looked after them. And yeah, so I self-funded, same as Robert, self-funded a NEBOSH and completed my NEBOSH over a year. I did night school, finished my NEBOSH, and a stroke of luck, 4 weeks later, a job came up with the National Crime Agency as a health and safety advisor. And out of 4,500 people, I was the only one with the qualification, so the job was mine. So it's just kind of been in the right place at the right time. However, I think you, over quite a few years, you really develop as a professional, because I can remember quoting lots of legislation once I've done my NEBOSH, thinking that was the way health and safety was done. But absolutely, my stance, I never talk about legislation hardly now. It's about looking after people and doing the right thing. So after 22 years with the National Crime Agency, I took redundancy. I set up my own business, not because I had, I'll be quite honest, real passion to set my own business up. I used to think that I'd like to work 2 days a week and ride my horse on the other 5 days. And it didn't quite work out because I set my business up and things just went crazy. So the business is called Safety Forward. I registered it 8 years ago this month, actually tomorrow. And I would say in the last 6 years, it's really taken off. What I'd like to do is probably bring that part of my experience to the group, if there's any young professionals on here, because I have on many occasions let people do work experience with me. I've hired from people emailing me who are really passionate about health and safety, want to gain a qualification and experience, or they've got the qualification and no experience. So if you've got any questions about, you're fairly new to it, and like Neil says, you've done the NEBOSH but no one to give you a job, then by all means ask the questions, because I can give you sort of the real life experience from an employer's point of view. I can, give you some pointers. I really enjoy my job. And I love health and safety, and I love the fact that the clients that I work with, you can really, I think through COVID, there's never been a time to be able to show people how much you care about them as employees by making sure that you're putting the right things in place to look out for them. So yeah, I think for me, superhero, this is a really difficult one. It's going to sound ridiculous. I'm 51, so I was born in the 70s. My favourite superhero was Danger Mouse. I used to run home from school so fast, just in case I missed it. So absolutely love Danger Mouse. He's my superhero. And just to mention, we've got someone on this call that have worked alongside, actually, Martin McGeever. So welcome to the group, Martin McGeever. It's good to see you. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to bring some value to the group, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to Scott.
Thanks, Neil. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Scott. My last name is, if you're a Red Dwarf fan, you'll know it's pronounced Crichton. So for those of you who like a bit of Red Dwarf, that's how you pronounce my last name. When I was at school, I didn't really set out to do any sort of degrees or any sort of academic learning. There's a couple of things that I sort of said to myself that I do want to do. So I wanted a job with variety. I didn't want a 9-to-5 job, or a job that was sitting sort of in one place all the time. I wanted a job where I'd be challenged, a job that's always required, that will be required in the future, and a job that will make a difference. So I followed in the footsteps of my stepfather, who was in the RAF, and I set off on a journey into the RAF. 3 years later, after some redundancies were being made, I decided that I was going to leave the RAF and try and attempt to get into the police force. And after 4 unsuccessful attempts at trying to get into the police force, I found myself working for a company called Securitas, which I'm sure you're probably all familiar with some guise or another. Whilst I was at Securitas, like some people have said already, I fell into health and safety where somebody was retiring, and I was asked if I wanted to join the health and safety team. So I did so. I did an IOSH Managing Safely certificate, and then went on self-funded NEBOSH certificate. But unlike other people that have talked previously before me, I went down the PG Cert route from the University of Strathclyde. So I was with Securitas for about 7 years. I then relocated from Scotland down to Gloucester to work for South Western Ambulance Service. I worked for them for 3 years, and then I moved on to my current employer, which is WorkNest, formerly known as Ellis Whittam. So I'm a principal health and safety consultant with WorkNest, and I go into various different organisations, businesses, and predominantly just now into schools. So if you do the maths, I'm 37 just now. I've been in the industry for 15 years. So I started off at the age of 22, which I thought was ripe when I started off. But there's younger people now getting into our profession, and quite rightly so. So why do I do what I do? So I like helping people. I want to make a difference, and I want that variety. So all those things I set off to do from school, I've ended up in the exact job that fulfills all of those things I set out to do, which is great. Why do I want to be involved in Safety 7? And I'm so delighted that Neil asked me and get involved in this. It's such a great thing. I'm passionate about helping younger practitioners, and I don't mean in age. I mean, those who are just starting off, whatever age they may be, or experience. Throughout my journey, I've had numerous issues with confidence, or feeling as if I'm not good enough, or imposter syndrome, as some people have talked about, and the sort of typical thing where other people look down on you, perhaps because of your age or your lack of experience. Like some people have said, I love learning, and for me, predominantly, I love learning so I can pass it on to other people, and if I can help someone else, then great. I can go to bed happy. I've had a number of different blows throughout my career in health and safety as well. Most recently, if you've seen on LinkedIn, I was unsuccessful at my fellowship application last year. So I guess for anyone that's had a similar knock or a blow, one of the reasons that we are doing this is to help other people. We've been there. It's not just the glitz and glamour, as Neil said earlier. There is sort of the down parts of the journey, but together we can support each other, pick ourselves back up and go again. I guess 2 things from that is just what I've learned recently is just be yourself. Like people have said, be authentic, just be who you are. You can't be anyone else. Secondly, you've got a voice, and I found my voice in the middle of the COVID pandemic. Previously, I said, struggled with confidence issues, and actually found within the last 2 years, actually I got something to say, and I've got a voice. And similarly, you've got a voice, so please do use it. My favorite superhero, so it was me that posed this question, so I better answer it. So my favorite superhero is Iron Man. I'll give you the superficial reasons first. So he's intelligent, he's got a nice house and a nice car, he's got a cool suit, and of course he can fly. But I was looking at why should Iron Man be my favorite superhero, and I really like this part, so I thought I'll share it with you. Iron Man's genuinely concerned about the other Avengers, and I would like to think I'm genuinely concerned about my colleagues and teammates around me, whoever they may be, either in work or out of work. So yeah, that's essentially me. So if I can help you in any shape or means, with just anything generally in the profession, or whether it's IOSH or IIRSM, then please get in touch. Over to you, Neil. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we got through that with no one having to say you're on mute. So that's a pretty big achievement. If we take nothing away from tonight, that's a win. So over to me. I started working in the railway 15 years ago this year. I had quite a nasty accident to my middle finger on my right hand around about 2008, and my finger was pointing in a different direction. the sort of insides of it were hanging out. And I said to my foreman at the time, I need to go to hospital. He laughed and said, "Not today, young'un, we're on job and knock. You can go to hospital when you get home." So that was my sort of motivation to think that just look, that's not right, and to help other people from suffering that same pain that I went through with that. Still gives me a lot of trouble, doesn't sit right in my hand. Yeah, quite a nasty one. It was 10 years ago that I got into safety. Like a lot of people on the call, I've self-funded all of my qualifications. I'm currently doing the NVQ level 7 in strategic health and safety management and leadership, which is challenging, very, very challenging, but really, really rewarding. Imposter syndrome struck massively during the first unit, and it took me a lot longer than what it should have. And then when I submitted that, I got great feedback, and I flew through the next unit, and I'm currently on my 3rd unit now. So getting there with that. Like Scott, I am looking at fellowship. I've been chartered for 5 years now. Looking to progress my fellowship once I've got the NVQ out of the way. I'm currently a health and safety practitioner at Network Rail. And there's a couple of railway people on the call tonight, which is great. I know a couple of them. Love what I do, very challenging. Every day is different, but it can be an almighty pain in the backside as well. Just issue after issue, and then you'll have quiet spells, like everyone else, I suppose. What I am absolutely passionate about and driven about is getting out and speaking to people and learning and listening to what they have to say, and understand where their issues are and where best we can help the people at the sharp end. Because in the office where I'm sat now, there's not that many people that are going to get hurt other than the odd paper cut or dropping a paper clip on the floor. So it is, I'm really, really passionate about that. In the railway, we do have quite a lot of accidents and incidents. We have had a fatality at least every year for the last few, and it affects us all deeply when that happens. Very, very passionate about helping people, especially people coming into the industry or wanting to come into the industry, like those before me have said. That's what this is about. That's the whole ethos of this, and that's why during the build up to this, what we were saying was, we don't necessarily want sort of very, very experienced, not necessarily don't want, but we're aiming this to the audience of initially the people that are just getting into the profession or want to get in, so we can help them that way as the meetings progress. And if these do keep progressing, which I think they will, we are going to have set themes and structures to what we're talking about, and that's where, you know, your more experienced people can come in. But initially it is looking at helping develop and guide people that are just getting into the profession or want to get in. My favourite superhero, I was umming and ahhing on this one. It was either going to be Danger Mouse or Super Ted. But having sat and thought about it, I would say Peppa Pig is my superhero. And the reason for that, I have a 5-year-old girl, and for at least the last 3 years, Peppa Pig has been a lifesaver. Anyone with small children will know how good Peppa Pig is. I'm 38 years old, 40 next year, which is, to me, it's frightening, but it's life's just starting, I guess. Really keen to develop and help everyone else along. And with that, I think that's me done. So in terms of questions, have we had any in the chat? Imposter syndrome. Yeah, I can talk about this one, definitely. This is something I struggle badly with at times. It can come on quite out of the blue. I don't understand it a lot of the times. It's not that I lack confidence in scenarios, because I don't. I can be quite a shy person, but in terms of where it comes from, how it affects me, I don't know where it comes from, but it can lead me to not want to do things. It can lead me to cancel meetings or not go to events and things like that. I've cancelled quite a lot of things over it, where I've just basically crippled myself with it. Can't explain it, don't know why. In my head, when I'm having an imposter syndrome bout, I honestly think I have got to the position I am in by fluke. Like sometimes sit there and think, how on earth has no one found me out yet? Even when but you have your chartership peer review and you think, oh, I've proper blagged that out there, haven't I? But it's one of those things. I think we all suffer with that at some point. So yeah, it's not unusual, and it is a specific theme we will be talking about. Robert?
Yeah, when you mentioned imposter syndrome, it's something that I've kind of experienced myself, and we talked earlier about going into conferences. Well, I remember going into the first IOSH Future Leaders Conference, and you had a lot of experienced professionals in the room there that were going to get up on stage and talk. And Bev Messenger, who was the previous MD of IOSH, the MD at the time, she gets up on stage, and this is a room full of probably, a few hundred people. And she goes, who's felt imposter syndrome? And at first, a few people like hesitant to put their hands up. And she puts her hand up on stage like that, and everyone within the room just put their hand up. And to kind of be in that moment where you're looking around and seeing that every single person in the room had suffered it at some point made me realise that, throughout your career, at some point you're going to experience that imposter syndrome. I'd be very surprised if you haven't. And when you've seen some of the people that were in that room, we were talking like the head of health and safety for Sainsbury's, the head of health and safety for Mercedes, Formula One team, these really big, powerful positions and these really big, powerful people that were very knowledgeable in the role. Some of the people had books out and they were saying that. So if you ever come to that point where you feel you got imposter syndrome, for me, just sit there and think, well, everyone's going to go through that at some point. And you're being asked to do that for a reason, because someone somewhere has confidence in you. So you're there for the right reasons. And remember, where you've come from.
Cheers for that, Robert. I think we've had a couple of questions. So I think, Lewis, you've said, why is it spoken about in health and safety profession more than others? Why do we as a Safety 7 think that is? And as an example, I've never heard it mentioned in 5 years at mid-manager level in retail. I think certainly for me, where imposter syndrome is concerned, as health and safety professionals, our crucial key skill is being able to talk to people and being able to listen and understand. And I think that's where the openness and the knowledge certainly around imposter syndrome, especially over the last sort of 2 years or so, has greatly increased. And I think social media channels, LinkedIn, we all communicate and talk and share things on there. And that's what it's about with the, what I said about the not so glitzy stuff, is the more we talk about it, the more we're going to normalise it. And then hopefully that helps people with their imposter syndrome moments. Scott?
Yeah, just to add to that, I think perhaps one of the reasons, or the main reason, that we as health and safety professionals recognise it and talk about it is that we are taught and we often reflect. So we reflect a lot about what we do, how we can get better, or how things went or didn't go. So perhaps it's the whole thing about reflection, and perhaps we reflect too much.
Yeah, definitely. Mads, you're up.
Yeah, I think imposter syndrome is born out of, if you're, as a safety professional, you're doing a good job, as in you're taking your employer, your company, or your clients on a journey of improvement. I think when you get to, well, you never really get to that final destination, because we are always improving the people, the companies we work with. But I think you get so far and you look back and you think, oh my gosh, I've done that. I've been the person that's kind of put the energy and created change within my organization. And sometimes you can't believe that your words or your actions have done that. And that's why I just sometimes just reflecting can actually be quite overwhelming, because it's you get to a place where you think, oh my gosh, like, rewind 12 months, actually, where were we then and where are we now? And I think that's just a reflection on yourself. Imposter syndrome is a positive thing because it just shows that actually you've gone above and beyond what you ever thought that you would do. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Oh, brilliant. Kerry, you're more than welcome. I think we're all very thankful for you guys joining us as well. That's what this is all about, is helping other people. Neil Hobbs, one piece of advice you could give to a new starter within a health and safety role. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go around the 7 with this one. Because I went last time, I'll go first this time.
Reverse engineered, I like that.
I mean, what I could do is go last and then just steal someone else's idea. But I would say spend as much time with the frontline people as you can. Certainly in the rail industry, that's where the answers are a lot of the time. And sort of corporate management may do something in an office that they feel will fit. And it's the whole work as imagined against work as actually done. So when you go out and you talk to the people and it's a February, it's a Saturday night, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, it's -7, it's pissing down with rain, and someone starts opening up to you and they see that you're out in all weathers with them, that to me in the rail industry is the single biggest tool I have to get to understand to get to the bottom and understand where the issues are, and then I can find out what I need to do to help those people, and that builds trust. And once you start building trust with those people, those relationships develop, and that low-hanging fruit starts adding value, and before you know it, you're changing cultures. That doesn't happen overnight, it takes time. I'll hand over to.
Okay, so my advice is, I think, to go for a new health and safety professional or a new starter. There's a 2-line approach for me. So there's obviously you're going to try and gain technical knowledge. So your CPD is really important. So gaining that technical knowledge. But I think the mistake that some people who are new to the role do, they concentrate solely on technical. I hire for personality. I can teach the technical stuff. So just make sure that you're working on your personal skills. Read lots of books. I'm very big into self-development. One of the questions I ask at an interview, if I'm recruiting someone, say with a qualification but no experience, one of my most important questions is, what was the last thing you read or learned or podcast you listened to that you thought was really interesting, and tell me why you thought it was interesting and how it changed your thought process. So thirst for knowledge is really important, not only in technical, but in your personal skills. Listening is probably the number one personal skill you need to possess for this role. Yeah.
Rob, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so besides what they said, I'm going to take what Neil said. I'm going to take what Marissa said, and I'm going to say that I'm going to bring them together, because it's not just what you say, it's how you say it. So it's understanding that you need that soft skill to actually, take that technical knowledge and then go and apply it to the situation. Go speak to the people that are on the shop floor, and how are you going to engage them? It's not. You'll have loads of stuff in your first role that'll drag you to make you sit at a computer and do that compliance stuff, design the management system, all that kind of stuff. But it's finding the time to get out there on the shop floor, and that's what's going to make the biggest difference. That it's developing them people. It's like Stuart said earlier, it's about leaving that little nugget in the head that's going to kind of allow you to approach them in the future. And it's understanding how are you going to engage all these different people, because you're going to have people from a whole range of backgrounds, and you need to kind of communicate what essentially is a similar message to them. but they're all going to take it in different ways. They're all going to have different perceptions. So how you say something to one person might not necessarily be how you say it to another. So I think it's taking what them two have said and put it into one, even though that's 2 points. But hey.
No, great stuff. Scott?
Oh, there's so many I could pick. I'll pick this one because this one I still struggle with just now. Take your time. So don't be in a rush to try and get to your end destination because it's continually developing. And I still struggle with that now. So take your time. Any health and safety management system where you want to see change implemented is going to take time. So you've got to be in it for the long haul. So yeah, do everything everyone else has said. Read as much as you can. Get involved as much as you can. Network as much as you can. But yeah, just take your time. It's a long journey. Just keep going. Continual improvement. Continual learning. Don't rush it.
Great advice. Katie?
Gosh, it's nerve-wracking going towards the end of the group. I was like, oh, is everyone going to steal my answer? For me, it's why. It's learning your own why, because you're certainly going to need that on the bad days, on the days when you're struggling, on the days when your imposter syndrome's kicking in. You know, like when I turned up to that health and safety event, it was my why that was personal to me that kept me in that room that day. So I think work out your own why. That's really, really important, and your values around that as well. Ask why. You know, there's no silly questions here. You know, whether you're asking the Safety 7, whether you're asking other safety professionals in the industry, you know, just keep asking, be curious is what I'm saying there, you know, because every day's a school day. Let's just develop your own sort of knowledge and experience. But a real big one as well for me is explaining why. You know, when you're going to develop as a health and safety professional in the industry, for me, it's so important to explain to people why you're giving them this advice and guidance. It's not, to me, about preaching. It's not about dictating. It's about explaining to somebody on the level that they're going to understand it. Because, you know, that's how you start breaking down these little cultures as well. So, yeah, definitely for me, it's the why.
Brilliant advice. Stu, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm back. A few technical issues, and even though I am last, and I thought Katie was going to steal mine, I'm here. Unfortunately, nobody said it, but a few things. If you're developing yourself, put yourself in the place with other people, or get yourself in the fellowship room, in the whatever. You'll learn from those people. Keep your ears open. Someone once said you've got one mouth, two ears. That's what your ears are for. Listening to that advice, taking it on board. These people have been there throughout the time, 30 years careers. Talk to them. They've seen safety come and go in its many shapes and forms. So listen to what they're saying. One that I've found really does make a difference. I just want to follow on what Robert said, which is it's not how you say it's how you say it. Actually, there's a little bit more to that. It's how they hear it. And sometimes you've got to look at it that way. It's not what you say or how you say it, it's how they are hearing it. And how they hear it is personal to them. And only by learning more about them will you actually know what they are hearing. And that's a crucial one. The one that's had a massive effect for me is dress for the occasion. I know it sounds daft, but if you're going meeting the lads on the shop floor, it's no good turning up in a suit and a tie with a clipboard. They're not going to entertain you the same way as turning up in work pants. I go and buy a pair of the work pants, I'll go and put an ADM top on, and I'll turn up and I'll kneel with them at the side of the radiator while they're working and ask them questions. If I'm going to an office meeting, yeah, I'll dress up, I'll put an high-vis on, I might wear a shirt and tie. Dress for the occasion that you're going to be influencing in. It makes such a huge difference when the worker sees you get down to their levels. It's important. And the last one is CPD is not just health and safety. It's everything. It's what you read. It's what you engage with. It's what somebody says to you. Get it written down. Learn from it, because it is CPD to you. You are developing just because you're having those conversations with people. And I think that's it. Get in with other safety professionals. Always be I won't say the dumbest in the room, but always put yourself in a room with people who are higher than you. You'll learn from them. Like Katie said, keep learning, always be curious, dress for the occasion, always a big one, and it's really helped me to get that across. And it's not what you say or how you say it, it's how they hear it. There you go, that's mine.
Great advice, Stu. So, any more questions? Is there any that I've missed? I'm just having a look through. Oh, so thank you for everyone for supporting new professionals. My question is, how do you know you're doing the best by the people you want to help? As a new professional, I sometimes wonder if I'm doing this right. That is a very, very interesting question. I think for me, how I would know if I'm doing something right is, I'll give a personal example. So I had a safety week in the rail industry last week, put on numerous events, and had guest speakers, you know, the whole 9 yards for the stand down days. Getting a text message at say 8-9 o'clock on a Friday night saying thank you for what you've done, that's really helped me. It's really poignant. I've took a lot away from that. That to me is better than any sort of award that you can get. When someone comes to you and tells you that you've made a difference to them, how they do things, how they think about things, that's how you know you're on the right track. Some people are easier to get through than others. It's one of those things that you have to keep working at it. Anyone else got a thought on that? Rob?
Yeah, so for me, I think I'll elaborate on that as well. I think what you said there is brilliant. I would also see it's how people engage you in the workforce. So for me, it's when you're going out on the shop floor, are people coming and approaching you and speaking to you, or are they kind of like being a bit dismissive? Are they kind of going away from you? You know, if they have problems, are they actually coming and reporting them to you, or do you find that they're actually not reporting them? And then kind of understanding why that is. I think when you start to see that engagement from your team, you know that you're making a difference because they come in and interact with you, and a lot of that will basically change how you need to be as well. So some of that's going to be saying yes. You might not want to say yes, but say yes and then see how you can change it around that as well. Because I think that's what we're there for. You know, that people are actually coming to us for advice and guidance on how to do something. So it's understanding, are they actually coming to you for advice, or are they trying to avoid you?
Great advice. Stu, you got your hand up?
Yeah, I always think when I come across these things, that whether I'm doing it right or not, I used to have a saying which was, and I've seen it in safety circles, no one knows what we do until we don't do it. And it's a classic because they don't. We work so hard in the background like we have done this pandemic. And, you know, who sees those things? It's kind of, we're in the background. I remember the programmers up until the year 2000 who, you know, everything was, the world was doomed. We were going to get to year 2000. All the computers were going to crash and your mortgage was going to turn into millions in debt. And somebody behind the scenes did all that. They altered the clocks in the computers. They did the EEPROM. They managed to do it. And lo and behold, the clock ticked past and nothing happened. The world didn't end. Nobody's mortgage turned into minus $1 million. And we're them. We're the people that's behind this pandemic. So we're doing those things. You know, we are the hidden. No one knows what we do until we don't do it. If we hadn't have done that, you'd have seen workplaces completely isolated, whole industries decimated because of that. But we've not. We've put risk assessments in place. We've worked hard. You can't always see. You keep going and you'll put your stuff in place. And as a safety professional, you're doing your best. But keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. The thank yous don't come so often, but when they come, grab them with both hands, smile at them, and keep on doing your job. Because, you know, it's you cannot not be a safety professional. Once you get here, you're here, and it's very hard to stop it, even at 50, 56 years old, 57. 3 days work, I'm still trying to, Thursdays and Fridays, I still end up talking safety. I still end up walking around supermarkets or places like that and thinking, Do you know what? That fire extinguisher is in the wrong place. We could do so much better. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, great stuff. Lewis, that's perfect, isn't it? That feedback, 10 out of 10 for some of them. You know, it is that feedback loop, isn't it? Because your audience is the people that you're helping, and if they say that you're rubbish, then you've got some work to do, haven't you? But if someone's giving you a perfect score, you know you're on the right track. I hope that's answered all the questions that we've got. Stu, is that a legacy hand, or have you got it up again?
Oh, I think it's a legacy, Anne, but if I can just add one thing, and that is be courteous to other safety professionals. In this game, I've found that sometimes when you're a contractor and you go into a PC and you get your risk assessments assessed or your RAMS pack assessed, and it comes back with derogatory comments, that person should be helping the other safety professional, because you're both in the same boat. But you get sometimes very offish, and it seems like a tit for tat kind of world. We're in the same game. We should be helping each other. If you come across somebody who hasn't quite got the risk assessment right or could do with a bit of guidance, give them that guidance. Don't beat them about the, don't beat them down with it. We're all together, and there seems to be too much of that where you're battling against another safety professional. Why should that be? We're on the same team. I mean, I've seen teams that battle against each other in the World Cup, but we are on the same team, so we should be helping each other. That's my last bit. My legacy hand is down now.
Brilliant advice, Stu.
All
Scott?
right.
Yeah, it's really good that, Stuart. I was just going to add, Neil, I don't know whether it's the right point to say this, but it would be useful if these guys pose what they would like to see us talking about in future sessions.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, it might be worth mentioning as well, Neil, that we probably either on the next session or the one after, we'll be looking at how to deal with knockbacks and rejection. I'm the queen of rejection, so.
Yeah, definitely. I think we were going to discuss knockback, rejection, and imposter syndrome, weren't we? But I think we've had a real good focus on imposter syndrome tonight, so we could perhaps tick that one off the list for now.
Yeah.
But knockbacks and rejection, 100% could be the next theme for what we're going to do. We haven't got a date penned in for that yet. We will have a chat about that later or tomorrow and get something set up. So keep your eyes out for that when we're going to be setting the next one up. Scott, Stuart, I'm presuming they're legacy hands. Yeah. Rob, you all right?
Yeah, last piece of advice from me. Right, so you're all on LinkedIn, I presume. If you're not on there, get on it. We talked earlier in the chat or on the little side panel, network. Just get out there and speak to people. There's quite a few people on this call, whether it's the Safety 7 or whether it's any of the other attendees that you want to reach out to and connect with, just do it. If there's anyone in your industry that you're thinking, I don't know if they'll respond, message them, because you'll find that 9 times out of 10 they probably will. And if any of you are looking for mentors and stuff like that, I'm sure if you reach out to any of the Safety 7, they'll be happy to mentor you. Similarly, reach out using IOSM mentoring portals as well, because there's a lot of people out there that will help you, whether it's from developing soft skills to technical skills to even get work experience. I've took a lad on work experience, and I've had a few other people coming in or lined up to do work experience. So I think just reach out to people in the industry, because they will help you.
All right. On that note, I think we will draw tonight to a close. I think we're doing well on time. We haven't said a single year on mute, so absolute success. Yeah, so 2 minutes over, but great session. Really, really happy for my other 6 panel members. Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone joining tonight. I hope you have taken something away from it, and by all means, feedback to us on our performance tonight. If you think we were a 6 out of 10, you won't be invited back. I am kidding. But yeah, by all means, feedback to us on what it is you'd like to see, how you think it went. On that note, thank you. Thank you for joining. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Seven, do you want to stay on for a minute?
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
whoa, 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 whoa.
That went well, didn't it? Pleased
Brilliant.
with that. Yeah, pleased with that.
Very well.
Really good.
What I've been doing in some of my groups is having a virtual round of applause because when you're face to face, you'd applaud the speaker coming on, wouldn't you? You'd applaud the end of the session, and it's the missing bit. It makes it real.
Yeah.
I think so. I've started doing rounds of applause on my presentations, and you know what? It just brings it back into the room. Especially for the speakers, because it's dead for a speaker on virtual if you don't. So
yeah, it is.
Do you know what? I think we've gelled so quick as a group, and I thought that was excellent. You know, everyone had something important to say, followed on from the next person.
Yeah.
But none of us repeated what the previous person said. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, brilliant.
I actually missed a superhero, which if you're my age, you'd actually know who it is, and that's the Green Cross Man.
Yeah.
But what a superhero he was for safety people.
Now, I'm not saying I'm your age, Stu.
Well,
Can someone tell me who the Green Cross Man is?
Oh, thanks, Robert.
Probably not intentional, but actually we have got a good age range here. We've got the youngsters, and we've got me and Stuart, the oldies.
Yeah, quite a diverse group, aren't we, in terms of
Yeah.
experience, age, and stories, to be fair, and background. So, yeah, I think, like you said, it's working well.
And Marissa, we were in our prime, so they've got to reach this yet.
Absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've matured like a nice wine, Stuart.
That's what it is. Yeah, right.
Right. So, in terms of recording,
Oh yeah, we're still recording it. Yeah.
You can amend it, don't worry. There's plenty of programs that can do that.
Yeah.
So, do I just press dismiss?
Yeah, just stop recording. Yeah, so Neil, only you have the power
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah.
Stop recording and transmission.